that sound. Okay, we're off
Yes,
to the races.
we're back on.
Okay, we're back on. So this is a new day, new video for everybody just joining us. We just reviewed the good bills that we support going through the Utah House and Senate in 2026. And now we're going to look at the either call it needs work bills, right? Because maybe they could be amended and then they'd be great, or they're just bad and they need to be opposed. And these people never should have bought them up to begin with, right? In our opinion. And this is where this is being hosted by the Platform Republicans PAC. Blair and I are members. I'm the vice chair. Blair is a board member. However, what we're saying here isn't necessarily sanctioned by the whole board. We're just kind of doing a roundtable with people that follow bills. So you've got myself and Otto and I are on the Wilbur County Legislative Review. The Republican Party has, we're reviewing the legislative bills. And again, that body does not necessarily endorse this video. I'm just saying it means we're looking at bills together. That's all it means. And Monica Wilbur, she's been a force in education, instrumental in helping people get on the Utah State Board of Education and other offices. She's well informed, especially about bills affecting education, maybe other things too. And Blair's a red meat Republican, right? But Blair, does that sum you up? I think it kind of does.
Blair's I'll take that title.
Yeah, you not only review Utah bills, you spend a lot of time at your business in California living under all the failed bills in California, right? So you can kind of see the bad bills coming, right? What California did 5 years ago, we got to be on the lookout for it here in Utah in present day. So
yeah, look out for taxes and more taxes, including mileage tax.
Mileage tax, 7 cents a mile, right? Of course, I'm sure it will always stay at 7 cents a mile, just like the income tax is only going to tax the richest 1% and just 1% of their income. So don't you worry about the income tax, right?
Correct.
So we have to be on the lookout for that stuff. In fact, I had fun with our legislative review committee last night. I asked them, hey, do you guys know which bill had a 2-year sunset on it that was put on us in the 1930s in Utah? This tax had a 2-year sunset in the 1930s. It's still with us today. That's the tax on the food you buy at the grocery store. That's how they sold it. Oh, folks, it's just the Depression's so bad. And it might have been true. You know, I'll give them credit. During the Great Depression, tax collection probably was hard. So that's why they passed a tax on food for just 2 years. And by the way, that's when back in the day when people owned more land, they could grow more food, right? So people could dodge that tax on food a lot more easily than the apartment dwellers and condo dwellers and townhome dwellers we have today, and people with small properties that can't really grow substantial amounts of food, right? Maybe just some herbs. So they are more, cool. and granted, it doesn't break people. Okay, there's no bill on this year, but that's just my lead into, we got to be careful of what we allow with the sunset, because sometimes it's there to stay with us. Do me a favor, everybody who's not talking, unless you want to jump in, let's mute. And Monica is kind of going to lead us on this one with the bad bills, because she is ready to go with these. And so, Monica, we'll let you have the lead, and please tell us your bad bills. Anybody, anytime, if you want me to screen share, I'm happy to do it for you while you talk. Just tell me what bill to bring up. Okay, over to you, Monica Wilbur. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Bob. Actually, I just put a link in the chat, and that takes you right to our organization's bad bill tracker. So if you wanted to bring that up, I just wanted to show your audience what that is all about. Every good idea, it always hits at a weird time. And our idea for tracking bad bills and for creating labels to put on bad bills, that hit, I think it was maybe a week into the session last year. But it seemed to kind of catch fire. It seemed to get a lot of people's attention and catch their imaginations as to, explaining why a bill can go so bad and how it can go bad. And we understand that not all bills are bad. So we've come up with some other tags that explain what you just said a little bit, I think, back somewhere, that, there are bills that need some work, right? And our fixer-upper bill tag explains that fixer-upper bill isn't a total lost cause, but it needs a lot of thoughtful renovations and revisions in order to make it livable, just like a fixer-upper house would be. We also have one that is in the ballpark bill. It's got good intent. It seems like it's almost there. It's just falling short from delivering a decisive win. And then we have our good bill tag, the bullseye. But there are so many more ways a bill can go bad. A bad bill can go bad, then a good bill can go good. It's like straight and narrow is the way, right? There's only a few ways a really good bill can go good, and that's our philosophy at any rate. And we believe there are lots of ways. Broad is the way, right? Broad is and wide is the gate. For so many things to, I think, be led astray. And so there are quite a few bad bills we've had our eyes on in education in particular. Seems like most of the bills that come along in education are designed to grow the system, strengthen the system at the expense of the people who really the system should be about. It should be about first and foremost the children. It should be first and foremost about the parents. This is their child. The child does not belong to the state. The child, first and foremost, always is a creature of the family, right? They belong to the family. But
can I interject? I love your tags, right? I've got one up here, the school security personnel standards. It's got the big brother, right? The spy camera. It's nanny state, stay in your lane. I love your tags. Is there an easy shorthand way to get to your website?
Yeah, if you just went to higherground.work, that's our website. So that just shows you like the big screen there. But if you go to higherground.work, we have this bad bill tracker embedded on our bad bill tracker page, and that's just if you go to higherground.work.
Higherground.work. I'm just showing the people so they can see it. It's a fun website to see. You guys have tagged good and bad bills. You've done a lot of work here. We appreciate it. So I'll let you keep going. I just want to interject. I love your tag.
Oh, thank you, Bob. It's been a lot of work, but again, it's been an awesome opportunity to just be able to better explain what, if you want to, for instance, if you want to go ahead and click on that, go up a little bit to that school security one, school security personnel standards. Okay, so this is something we've heard a lot of parents complain about, like when they go to the school. Suddenly they're at the school and the school's saying, well, you need to scan in your face. And then, you have to jump through all these security hoops, basically, so we can ensure that your child's parent, and even then, they still are denied access to their children, what I would call easy access to their children. And that's never okay. So if you click on just the title of that, if you click on school security, if you click on that, you'll notice the title comes up in this bold red. The reason, like the bolder the font, it means that's more of a high impact. And then if it's red, we label that as bad. And you can see the tags that we've applied to this bill right here. And then we have an analysis section where we explain where this bill goes wrong. And, like right there, it says these visitor management system and protocols can ultimately deny you, the parent, access to your own child at school if you refuse to submit to the school surveillance system that scans your ID, manages and monitors and tracks you while you were in the school. Basically treats you like you're guilty, like you're a criminal for being in the school. And yet they send your kid home to you at night, right? No, you can't be in the school with your own kid without them tracking and surveilling you. Our recommendation is to kill the portion of the bill that enacts 53G 806, which forces parents to scan their state-issued ID, to carry a school-issued badge that tracks them physically to have access to their own children. It's total overkill. It presumes that parents are guilty and have to prove their innocence. Now, if you go a little bit further down to the bill text, if you click on where it says, scroll up just a little bit. This is all underneath here is just information that comes from the legislature's website. But if you click on the bill text right there, that tag or that label, And you go down. Now, they've had some substitutes since, so our tags are not going to show on the substitute until we reapply them. But if you click right there where it says version, and if you go to where it's introduced, so if you'll go to introduced, you can see, if you'll scroll down again, you can see where we applied our tags. Now, if you'll scroll down, just keep scrolling down. And on this version, I believe on the introduced version, if you keep scrolling down, you should see some tags applied to this. Oh, I don't see them there, but they should be there. Scroll maybe a little further. Maybe it's not on introduced one. I'm trying to think which version we did it on. So if you'll scroll up again a little bit.
You've got
This may
red and
not-
green text, so you're indicating these parts are okay.
No, actually, what this does, what our tool does, is it brings in the language that of the bill itself. So everything that's not highlighted is just already existing in code. And then if you keep scrolling, so we can see. Let's see, maybe we did it on substitute. Let's see, go to substitute one, and let's see if that's where the tags ended up. And it could be that in bringing in these substitutes, maybe this one isn't the best example, but the green language right there that you just scrolled past, that's what's being added. That's new language that's being, just like they do up at the legislature, except they just underline it, but we highlight it green and we underline it. So this would become new law if it were adopted. And then anything in red that has a strike through on it and then is highlighted in red, that is language that's being taken out of extant code. So that's just how our tool interprets it for people, so they can see what's new and what's being removed from code. Up at the legislature, they just strike through code they're removing and they just underline, but we highlight it in addition. But why don't you go back on your browser, and we'll go to a bill where you can see the tags side by side. Right there to higher ground is good. And let's go to school material amendments, for instance. This is one we call a fixer-upper. And this one is by Representative Nicolene Peck. And it does have elements of a bad bill, which makes it in need of help, right? It needs improvement pretty significantly, but the intent is good. I can see what she's trying to do. We can see that she's trying to remove like even more the obscenity, the smut from the schools. But the problem is it goes back to the same old solutions that weren't removing the smut in the first place. And it just doesn't, let's do the same old thing, but we'll do it harder. Well, the same old thing wasn't working before. And so, it's got an airball tag. It's like, you're just kind of missing the mark here. You're attempting to do something worth cheering, but you miscalculate. And the bill misses its shot. And it's because mostly this is a major fox guarding the hen house bill. There's no teeth to it. You're trusting the same school districts that you couldn't trust to get all the smut out of the schools. You're trusting them to do it again, to continue to try to get the smut out of the schools. The intent is good, but you're really building on just not good, a good underlying premise. And the existing code, boy, there are already, the first sensitive materials bill, added in 5 exceptions for sensitive materials for smut to be allowed in the school. That's ridiculous. There should be no porn in any form in the schools, period, not on the taxpayer dime. So if you click on the bill text there, Bob, if you'll go down again on the page and then click where it says bill text, it's that button right there. Yep. And then if you scroll down, they already have a substitute. So go up a little bit and go to just introduce where it says introduced. Hopefully our tags are still there. There they are. So you can see what we say. If this bill gutted and revamped a lot of the existing code it's built on, it would have a better chance of making a noticeable difference. We're just afraid parents are going to have false hope that, okay, we're going to get the smut out of the schools again. And since the first sensitive materials bill passed, I think we've removed fewer than maybe an average of 1 book a month. So and so it's not enough. For every one book we take out, there are 10, 20, 30 books that take its place. How do we know that? We've talked to parents who are actively involved in the like sensitive materials review process, where they have to make a complaint. They have to make the case. Schools just aren't being as proactive on this as they need to. It's just not enough. So there's just a couple of examples there. And we put the tag right by the language of the bill, so people can see exactly where it applies. And we provide a little bit of analysis along with it, so you can see what we're trying to say, and make our case that it's not easy writing a bill. It's not easy. We're going to be the first to acknowledge that it's not easy to write a bill, but especially in education, where there are so many layers of bad code already, that so much dead rot. Anyway, don't want to take up the whole time, but you can see what we're talking about here if you want to get any more information. And we'll be updating our trackers so that we'll be able to, kind of bring these bill tags along with the substitutes as they come out. So appreciate the effort, the intent here. Just sad because you just have to understand how the system really works in order to even make headway. And this bill right here, it tries, but it's going to disappoint parents in the end. It just will.
And Monica, we work with these Representative Peck here is I trust her motives, right? Like I think you kind of said, and she's still somewhat new. I think it's maybe her second term, right? And I was glad to see, because Otto and we were looking at a bill last night in our legislative review. It's one she's running a second time. And I think what happened was she had a well-intended bill last year, but she kind of missed the mark on the language. And it actually created a loophole, right, where a teacher would only get a one-time exemption for not calling Johnny Jane, right? So it was one of those things about the pronouns you use or the names you use with children. And I think she brought it back this year, but changed that poison pill. Because last year she was kind of resistant to changing it. She's like, no, it's going to do this. And the rest of the chorus of us conservatives were like, no, now you're hosing the teacher, right? They only get a one-time exemption. Then they got to call Johnny Jane the rest of the year, right? And you open them up to lawsuits if they slip up. So it's good to see when representatives listen to those of us like you and me who give input, but they need to hear from other people too. And I think it's great that you foot stomped your higherground.work, .work.work, that kind of work, like employment kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's you guys have put a lot of work into your Higher Ground website, and we appreciate that. So you can make shorthand work for them and the representatives. So
yeah, that bill you are mentioning, we saw it this year. We think it's improved. We're still not exactly happy with the language is convoluted. It's in other words, like, I can see what she's trying to do, but there are still some parts in it that I think will backfire. That's what we call a self-sabotaging bill. Like it'll actually kind of kill itself. It has some self-defeating provisions or language. It needs some cleanup still to be tighter. There is some language in there that's worded very confusingly that could easily be misinterpreted by the very people who are going to enforce it.
Okay.
And so, just really quickly on that, I see what you're saying on that bill. It still needs a little work. It just needs a little cleanup there to make it better.
She listened, though. She improved it. And I'm glad to see when legislators listen to the input, it's really great. Representative Lisenby helped change a bill recently. I think it was House Bill 58. I forget what it was, but it's great to have these the representatives that are responsible to grassroots groups like yourself and us. Are you finished with your priority bad bills?
Sure. We have a lot of bad bills. We can't even begin, but that's it. One thing I do want to mention is Lincoln Fillmore's school-based devices, where he's going to do a bell-to-bell ban on the cell phones in the school. Horrible civil liberties violations, and that's what we call a breaks family bonds bill. It's a really, really bad bill, and that's right. That's it right there. They did
Okay.
it last year. They're going to do it harder this year. Is total overreach. In fact, the bill sponsor, one of the co-sponsors last year, Doug Welton, in a Facebook exchange with him on a public page, he admitted, I put my opinion of the bill last year, and he admitted, yeah, he totally said, yeah, this is overkill. We really didn't need to do a bill for it. Yeah, it's probably not that great of that kind of
Okay.
attitude. Yeah, it's crazy. But there you go. It's back again. Back again to haunt us. So it's
Okay.
not a good bill.
I know we're trying to be picky here, so I appreciate that.
Yep.
I'm going to open up the floor to whoever wants to go next on a bad bill or two. I've got a couple lined up, but Otto, Blair, either of you guys want to go? We're kind of loose here today.
I've got a few. Um,
Okay, go ahead,
sure.
Otto.
I love Otto.
All right. Okay, the first one is this HB 81, and maybe you guys already heard about this. Rep Stoddard, and I think this is a knee-jerk reaction from last year's bill that Trevor Lee took, flag display modifications. So it's a little longer bill, but in a nutshell, what it does is, so Trevor Lee's bill last year that he passed basically said you cannot put any flags that are essentially ideological, religious, um, social justice movement flags in a classroom or in a government building or in an agency building. You can only put, emblems of the state, like the Utah state flag or um, flags of national agencies. The United States flag is okay. So what this bill does, HB 81, that Rep Stoddard is running this year, is it says, you know what? I think that bill Trevor Lee ran last year is a little too restrictive. So I'm going to open it up for government buildings and any other place except a school, except a public school, to be able to have all these social justice flags and paraphernalia available for viewing. So I personally don't believe that I'll call them a religious flag because, you know, people believe strongly about some things and they cannot be questioned, therefore it's religion. So whether it's pride or LGBTQ or some social justice movement, it is like a religion. And therefore I believe it should be kept out of all government property. But what he's trying to do with this bill is only limit that restriction to schools and therefore opening back up to government buildings to have trans flags if that agency's head or leadership in that organization believes it's a worthy cause. So anyway, I won't go any more on that, but that's what
Hey,
this
Otto,
bill.
real quick, just for the people, can you click on the status? My favorite question on these bills, right?
Absolutely.
I always like to see the status because right now it's in House rules. It's been there since January 20th, which is getting to be a little while. Sometimes these bills never make it out of House rules, just so the people know. Sometimes they will go to committee. If you really like the bill, you might want to let them know, but we don't like this bill, so you can just let them smother it to death in House rules because that's probably what's going to happen.
That's what I need to say. You're right. Okay, the next one I have marked here, I think is HB 151. Um, yeah, so Rep Moss, it seems like a simple bill, but the idea here is uh, kind of horrendous. I mean, we just talked about, Monica brought up some sensitive uh, bills regarding porn and things that we do not want in our schools. So Rep Moss, what does she do? She says that if you're in the AP program or the IB program, you are exempt uh,
From porn?
from exactly. If the course material has graphic material in it, you don't have to get parental consent and to view that. And there's no age limit here. It just says basically if you're in AP or IB. I know AP courses typically are not offered before high school, but the IB, the gifted program that a lot of schools do, I mean, that starts in the elementary. It's where they identify those kids. So, no, I do not want an exemption from viewing porn or graphic material for my elementary kids who are gifted. I really wonder what the motivation is behind some of this legislation. Um, okay.
Well, Otto, can I jump in? Can you? Because those of us that watch bills closely, and I know we're trying to reach an audience that doesn't, but as soon as I see uh, Carol Spackman Moss as the sponsor, I know it's probably a liberal bill, right? She's very liberal. She was a Utah educator. In fact, a lot of her bills are nanny state. Now, this one's the opposite. This is more like libertarian, like, oh, let all the smart kids look at whatever, right?
Yeah.
But when I see Rep Moss, I 85% expect a bad bill. I could be surprised, but like Trevor Lee, we like a lot of his bills, right? He's kind of on the same wavelength as us. But Carol Moss, now she's not running again because she was an educator. I'm glad she's not running against, but it's only Democrats running for her seat because Republicans have tried and failed in that district in Murray, which it seems like they could get in, but they can't. So please continue. I just want to let people know when we see a bill from Carol Moss, I already know I'm probably not going to like it.
Yeah, so like the previous bill, this one needs to stay in rules. Um, okay. And like Monica said, I have a big list of bad bills too, but for the sake of time, I'll just try to cover some of them. SB 178 is the next one I wrote down. Okay. And maybe this one doesn't have much chance either, but I just got alarmed at what he's trying to do. He, he calls the bill right to work amendments, but he's doing the exact opposite in the bill, and that is to repeal the Utah right to work law sections in our code. As much as I disdain lengthy code for government, I think the right to work provisions that's in Utah State Code is valuable. And the reason I say that is because unions are no longer doing what they did in the 1920s and the 1930s, where they were trying to fight for better working conditions for the average Joe in some factory. Now they are trying to wield political power, and it's no longer uh, what's the word I'm looking for? No longer voluntary when you go to a certain shop or a job. So union shops before right to work laws would basically require you to be a part of the union as a condition of employment. So by
Otto,
doing,
can you show the status on that one? Just again to keep the people. I'm trying to
yeah,
make this partly a training video. I don't think it's gone out of. Oh, it's okay. It's been forwarded to a committee, so it will get a vote.
yes.
Oh, not considered. Okay, they didn't even want to consider it. That's so it's dead basically.
Oh,
That's good to
okay.
see.
Maybe I'm wasting my time then.
You know, when you
Gotcha.
get a minute, I want to show the people how they can listen to a hearing. If it's already had a hearing and a vote, how they can listen to it. But we'll get to that later.
Okay. While we're on the topic of Sen Blauen, the other one I wrote down is SB 179, and maybe I'll just check the status on this. Okay, also not considered. Basically, he wanted to raise the minimum wage in Utah to $20 per hour. And you just need to look at California or Washington and their recently enacted minimum wage laws and what it's doing to the businesses in those states. Um,
Is he a Democrat?
to tell he is a Democrat, to tell you why we do not want those. Um, and then I don't know if I'm running out of time, but SB 194, Senator McCall, this one was a sneaky one. The reason I say that is because
Now
this
he's
is
a powerful Republican. Let's just let the audience know. So this guy's not gonna. His bills are gonna get considered by the committee, right? So if you don't like this bill, you better tell somebody. Let's look at that committee vote, and then let's look at the hearing and debate, and then you comment. I'm gonna be short on this one, so you take your time, Otto.
okay. So we did have one person vote against it. Um, most of these people, half Democrat, half Republicans, but the reason this bill is not good, or maybe just part of it is not good, is besides it copy and pasting two other bills into this very specific one, it adds a paragraph which says succinctly that if you are running for county elective office and you're gathering signatures, your signature threshold is not cut in half. That's the real intent of this bill. The other two people that are running the other election integrity bills, those are sailing through their committees in the House. So I wonder why he copy and pasted those bills into his. Maybe this is like a super election bill that he's trying to portray on the outside, but he's got that one little paragraph that makes it easier for everyone in the 29 counties of Utah to basically circumvent the party convention process and just gather signatures to get on the ballot. So I'm against that. And until that gets taken out, I believe this bill is not good. Um, so that's pretty much it from bad bills on my side. There's more I could go through, but um, just some time.
Thanks, Otto. I'm not sure how we're doing exactly on time on this one. We started a little bit late. I'll try to be brief though, because you already hit on one of the bills I was going to call a bad bill. I'm jumping in here, Blair. You would be next if you're going to have any. Let me share the screen. I've got one pulled up here. I'm going to start with one that actually to me is kind of a bittersweet bill. And it's by started. I agreed with you on House Bill 81. I figure it doesn't hurt to repeat. That's the flag display where he wants more ability for government buildings to display any flag, right? A pride flag or whatever. So I'm against that one too. And I think it's going to say stuck in rules. This is a different one that I'm not, this one's interesting. I'm not, I'll just tell you about it. It's HB 460, candidate nomination procedures. Now, this is interesting because the Democrat is basically I think he's trying to poke Republicans in the eye and saying, put up or shut up, right? Because here's what's going on. It's stuck in rules. It's very likely going to stay stuck in rules. What he's trying to do, because a few years ago, 2014, they passed a bill, SB 54, you may have heard of it, that allowed candidates to no longer just go through their party convention to get the nomination. They could collect enough signatures from people in their party to get on the ballot, kind of an alternate nomination type thing, right? But unfortunately, it's really just people shopping at the grocery store and they get asked by some paid signature gatherer, hey, would you sign so Joe Blow can get on the ballot? Okay, sure. That they don't really know this guy necessarily, or maybe they do, but we don't know what quality of engagement they have. Do they really know this candidate like the delegates? But what Representative Stoddard is doing here, and I don't expect this bill to go anywhere, but it's very interesting. He's trying to stop that you can do both. Because right now, as a Republican, you can do both. You can run through your convention and get your party's nomination that way, or you can ignore your party's convention and just get signatures and get on the ballot. And you could actually be like a Democrat or a rhino, right? And run as a Republican because you got enough signatures from people at the grocery store that don't know you. But what this does is it forces a choice. It eliminates the qualified political party status, which is what allows you to go either way. And it says you have to pick. So either you're going to be a convention nominating party or a primary nominating party that uses signature gathering. So one or the other, no longer both. And I think a lot of Republicans that like the signature path do not want this bill to see daylight. And that's why it hasn't gone anywhere. Now, if it had gone somewhere, if you click on hearings and debate, you can actually click the committee audio, which is nowadays it's actually video. Let's see, here's one. So that's actually not a bad bill, but it's just one to be aware of. Here's one that is a needs work bill, right? It used to be good. It's Senate Bill 97 by Senator McKay, and he's very engaged with the grassroots. I'll give Senator McKay that. He'll talk to you. He'll message you. I appreciate that. This bill seeks to change tax revenue, but he talks about property taxes, and it's a long bill. It's already been voted on by the Senate committee. It was kind of a close vote. It was 3-4, 2 against, and we had one Republican, Brady Brammer, and one Democrat, Senator Escamilla, vote against it, and then 2 were absent, right? So we don't know what the full vote would have been. Why am I stuck here? Let me go back to, if you wanted to listen to the debate, if you click the audio, you'll hear the audio and the video. If you click minutes, you could see the minutes, what the vote was, who voted which way, what motions were made. And the agenda is basically what they use to run the meeting that they're in. But what I liked about this one and why I don't like it now, he's going to change it. And it says it's displayed, but my understanding he's going to abandon the 5% cap he had on property taxes. So I'm going to have to do a little looking around. There's a lot of, that was it. So I haven't, I'm not sure I'm looking at the right part of the bill to tell you the truth, but he was going to limit tax increases. It says ad valorem, a Latin term for, and I forget what it is, but it's um, like each year's add-on tax, a tax hike, I think is kind of what that translates to, was going to be limited to 5%. But some people didn't like that limitation because what if there's hyperinflation or something? And I think this was better with a cap. In fact, I encourage Senator McKay to bring that 5% cap on property taxes down to 3%. Because that's what Florida has had for 30 years now. They've had a constitutional amendment that for residences, and it doesn't apply to commercial property or businesses, but for residences, the state of Florida cannot increase your property taxes more than 3% per year. Now that changes, when, let's say you own your home for 25 years, then you sell it. Well, the new person is now going to be taxed at a higher rate than you were. So there is an adjustment for the state when a house changes hands. But when you stay in that house, it makes your taxes very predictable, which I think homeowners would like. Senator Johnson on his Politicket, he's got a YouTube channel called Politicket. I might be saying that wrong, but it's kind of how it's spelled, like politic, like politics, politic, it. If you search for that, you'll find he did an interview with Representative Auxier about her tax bill. And he mentioned that he sent out a survey to his constituents, and the number one issue for them was property taxes. People feel like their property taxes are going up too much. So I think this was a better bill when it had a hard cap. However, Representative Auxier's bill kind of has a soft cap. She's got a cap of CPI, which is more flexible because CPI could go high. What if we had 7% inflation? Well, it would allow a 7% increase in your taxes, which the people that have to run the government, they like that because they fear, what if we don't have enough money, right? But if it's a 0% year, then your taxes are not allowed to go up on your residence. So I like that flexibility. I like Senator McKay's better with a cap. I like it better with a lower cap than a higher cap. But I think that actually maybe he would get behind Representative Auxier's bill, House Bill 449. I don't hate these bills. I'm just kind of calling out some. Otto, I love your tracker that had it. All the stuff to talk about. Those trackers are helpful, but Higher Ground has done the job. So I'm gonna hats off to you guys. Have done good work on what bills are good and bad. I am looking at Aaron Bullen. If you know him, he's got a list of good and bad bills too. It's actually pretty good. So you can write to Aaron Bullen and ask him for his good and bad bills list. We've referenced that. I'll stop sharing now. You guys did a great job on the being against bills. It could be, well, I don't know, Blair. You're saying it's a caucus killing bill, but it would, if the Republican Party chose to be convention, then we would only have convention. There would be no signature path at all. And someone in our legislative review said, "Oh, what if that made two Republican parties? One that was for signature gathering and one for convention caucus only." Well, no, that's not possible because the RNC will only recognize one Republican Party in a state. Now, it could represent, it could choose the pirates, right? The ones that say, "Hey, we want signatures because these people at the grocery store, they don't know these candidates and they're just going to put them on the ballot." Or that I think the SEC, though, would vote to be a convention only. So, Blair, you're welcome to talk about it. You've got your floor time here. But I actually think that one, and I don't think it's going to see the light of day, right? It's going to get smothered with a pillow committee. But
well, I think I may have been misspoke. I'm a little apprehensive to anything playing around with signatures. So,
it could go either way. You're right, but we already have a bad deal.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
Right. It could make it worse. It could, if the party somehow picked the signature path, and we've never chosen that before. The party has never said, "Oh, let's allow signatures." That has never been done. The Republican Party, at least. So it would be bad if our legislature. Sorry, it should be up to the party anyway. But if the legislature did this, it might tie the party's hands. So it's a good topic. That's why I brought it up. But it's kind of interesting that a Democrat's running it. Again, there's probably better bills that other people brought up. And I think AFP is overall a pretty good organization. So you can kind of search AFP Utah out. They back bills that are favorable toward the taxpayer in general. They didn't like SB 179 that would raise the minimum wage anyway, but that died in committee without even a vote. So some of these bills, it's glad to see that we're against them, but so are our elected representatives. And so that's, I'll just conclude with, we kept it reasonably short. I hope we've informed the people and they'll engage. Does anybody else have any last words for our viewers? Okay, I think everybody's talked out. Thank you, Blair, for hosting. Thank you, Otto, for digging into the bills. And Monica, too, you were a powerhouse with getting us through the good and bad bills. And your say your website again, Monica, for the people.
It's higherground.work. That's WORK. I had somebody who thought it was like .org. It's not .org. It's .work. WORK.
Got it. Thank you. That's awesome. And I failed to mention the Platform Republican PAC. We have a Facebook page. If you just search out the Utah Platform Republicans PAC, we're the ones with 2,700 members, not the one with like 60 members. We also have a website. If you just search for Utah Platform Republican PAC, you're going to find our website, and you can read our policy stances there, or do nice things for us on that website too. I'll just leave it at that because I'm not allowed to ask for money, so I won't do that. But everybody, thanks for your contributions today. I really enjoyed the roundtable and seeing everybody's, face and inputs. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Monica.
Thank you, everybody.
Good meeting.
Thank you, Blair.
Yeah, and you're going to stop recording, Mr. Producer?
That is correct. Those will be available this afternoon.
Excellent. We'll get them up so the people can see them. And that was fun, you guys. I hope we kept it under 30 minutes at least, right?
Yeah, it seemed really good. So thanks. That was very interesting to see on Otto's list. It's like we have a bunch of those as well. So boy, just sad. It really is. It's sad to see how many bad bills there are coming along.
Now,
So
the topic has come up a couple times. Should we have a legislature, the session divided into 2 or 3 sessions? And I kind of like the idea 2. 3 gets to be a lot to keep track of, but 2, it might potentially make it easier. We're done recording, right, Blair?
I'm going to drop it right now.
Oh, okay.
it's kind of funny because